All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we went over the Bill of Rights. Okay, and we did some focus note taking, but in a different style, not the same style that we normally do in class with the Google Doc. This time we did them in a Google slide. So I'll show you those notes in just a moment. But first, if you are on quarantine and you weren't in school today for quarantine purposes or you're just absent, make sure you check out the escape room. Okay, you will be using the Bill of Rights, Chapter 7, 3.3. And you know you can find that information. You can get to the textbook in Schoology. In Schoology. Now, you can find a link to the escape room in your Google Classroom. Okay, so make sure you go to Google Classroom. It should be at the top. Okay, if I switch the order, it'll definitely be second. It should be the second post if it does move. But for right now, and in this video, it is currently at the top of your stream in Google Classroom. All right, so Bill of Rights. I shared a Google slide presentation with you. You can find that in your Classcraft. So when you go to log into Classcraft, click on your messages, go to class announcements, and you will see the notes here. Okay, you'll see a copy of the notes. So I don't know why there are two of them here. I must have put it in there twice, but that's okay. It should be there. You're going to click on this. It will open up a copy that looks like this. And I've already gone through and done some of the editing that you'll need for your notes. Okay. Now, some of these slides toward the end, like slides 21, 22, 23, 24, will be deleted. Okay. Unless you want to use some of these icons, or in the process of taking your notes, you deleted some of the extra graphics. You can always come here to grab an extra copy. Otherwise, you can delete this. All right. Now, I'm only going to give you notes for slides 2, 3, and 4. Okay. These are the slides I'll give you notes for. And then slides, at least on this video, slide 6 through slide 15 are for the Bill of Rights in your textbook. Okay. Now, when you open up your textbook, you'll see a chart over here. Okay. It's an image, but you'll see a chart here with the Bill of Rights, or the first 10 amendments of our United States Constitution. And all you're going to do is type in the number of the amendment and then type in a short explanation of what the amendment protects. Okay. And that part you can do on your own. And be sure to, change. You should be able to just click in here and change it to whichever number you are currently working on. All right. And that should be very simple. Here, you would put in First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, Fourth Amendment, and then here you would, type either what it says there on the chart, or if you can, put it into your own words. That way, it's easier to remember and it's easier to study for the benchmark coming up on the 26th, January 26th. Okay, so let me give you just some quick notes here. Okay, this does not replace like a full day of instruction, but so you don't fall behind, and you'll have the notes, and you'll have at least something to help you prepare for the benchmark when you return. Let's take some notes on slide number 2. All right. So after you have first, I would first go through and complete the what is that? The escape room. I would do that first. Okay. I'm going to put that into Classcraft tomorrow. So if your score is there, great. Okay. If not, then you'll miss out on some level up points. Nevertheless, let's start here. And what I want you to do is just you're going to select this information here and then just delete it. All right. And then you're going to type in some new information. Now, I'm going to put the information back because some people still need to copy this. So I'm going to put it back in there. But here's some of the notes that we took for this big main idea from the reading. Now, our big idea or big concept that came from the reading, 3.3 Bill of Rights, is this, what I highlighted. All right. And remember, these notes are for you, so you can type this in, you know, however way that you can that helps you. Okay. That's what focus notes are. They are for you, they are not for me. So I want you to type this in a way that you can remember it. So the big concept after going through the escape room we saw is this idea of, why does our country still use a constitution that is 200 years and it still works? Okay, this is why. Because one, it's so hard to change, and they did that on purpose. So for the big concept sentence, you want to put our government has survived for more than 200 years because of this concept known as checks and balances. All right, now moving on to slide number 3. Okay, I want to give you one example of many that uses this process of checks and balances to make it very hard to, one, change the Constitution. You'd have to get a majority, or like one student said today in class, a supermajority of states and citizens and representatives to agree to a change to our Constitution. This is one of the reasons why it hasn't changed for 200 plus years, and it still works. And it still works for our country. All right. So on this slide, you'll notice it says process, and I want you to click here. You'll put a space down here, but this time you'll go up here and choose the bullet points. Now you can either do this as a numbered list, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's how I'm going to explain it. Or you can do this as a bulleted list. It's up to you. Okay. But you're going to put 4 things in here. Here they are. And this is an example of checks and balances. Number 1, this example comes from Article 5 of the Constitution, okay, in which this is how the country would change the Constitution known as an amendment. This is the amendment process. So, number 1, you would put Article 5 starts the process of changing our Constitution, okay. Number 2, that change has to be proposed or introduced by 66 or 2/3 of either Congress or 2/3 of the state legislatures. Okay, each state has its own capital, as you know. All right, so 66% of these states or 66% of Congress, both houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate would have to make this proposal and agree. Number 3, once it's been proposed and introduced, 75% of the states, this has nothing to do with Congress now. So this is a balance. Now the states have to agree. And 75 or 3/4 of the state, 3/4 of the states or 75% must agree to approve this change to our Constitution. All right. Once they have done so, and if they do agree, then number 4, the amendment is added and it's approved or ratified and it's added to the Constitution. That is a very, hard process to get through, to get that many people in that many states to agree. Okay. It has happened before. We have a number of amendments beyond the first 10. So it definitely has happened before, but it is certainly a very hard process to complete. So you should have those 4 things listed here, okay? If I went a little too fast, just rewind the video and go back and start from I don't know what minute I'm on, but just go back to the part where I start talking about slide number 3. Slide 4. Okay. I put these little animated GIFs on here to try to, really clarify and give you some visual examples of the notes that you'll take here. Okay. And this is from the Bill of Rights, the individual freedoms. Now, under the section called individual freedoms, we want to look at 5 things. Okay. I have these circles and I'll be going in order. Let's see. Will it let me go in order? Oh, there we go. I'll be going in order from top to bottom. Okay. So this would be left to right on your screen. All right. So if you have your screen split like a split screen, you can type these or you can pause after each one. It's up to you. Now, this section on individual freedoms, okay, this is what the anti-federalists demanded, okay, be a part of the Constitution. There had to be some amendments that protected individual rights and the rights of the states. So let's look and see how they did that. In the first circle where it says first underneath, okay, you want to put that the First Amendment has 5 freedoms in it by itself. Okay. You can look through the book, and as you can see here, the freedom of religion, speech, press, peaceful assembly, and petitioning. All right. Now, you don't have to put all those things in the circle, but just know that the First Amendment has 5 basic freedoms that are protected in it. The second circle, the one that has Thomas Jefferson with the quote, these freedoms came from something that he wrote in his own state of Virginia. It says here that Jefferson strongly advocated for religious liberty and separation of church and state. He put these things into his state of Virginia, into their laws, written laws, their statute. And so the First Amendment is based on Thomas Jefferson's written laws in Virginia. Circle number 3 talks about the freedom of press. Okay. And I think I put an image of free people equals a free press, or free press equals a free people, one of those. All right. And this is the idea that if people aren't allowed to think freely and have free access to the truth, then are they really free? Okay. The book describes here how the government used to bully newspapers, okay, as early as 1780, in the 1780s, okay, to get stories that they wanted to see in the newspapers and to push stories that they wanted to support, that helped support them. Okay, that's not free. That's not a free press. So the Constitution protects the press from, a powerful government. And then finally, there's a breakdown of the Bill of Rights. Okay, this AM just stands for amendment. It's short for amendment. So amendments 1 through 8 are to protect individual rights, a number of them. The founders didn't have a crystal ball, but they did kind of leave the door open with personal freedoms because they knew the country would grow. They hoped that it would last. And so the Constitution had to make room for new pursuits, new freedoms, advances in the country. And so anything not stated in the Constitution under Amendment 9 is a personal freedom of ours. And then Amendment number 10 protects the states, okay? Because the founders looked at the states as individuals, separate and sharing power with the national government. So they had protections from, from abuse of power from an all-powerful government, all right? And that would go into the last circle. All right, so my video ran a little long today, okay? I wanted to make sure you had those notes and you also had access to the Bill of Rights Google Slides. We're going to turn these slides into a Flipbook, okay, so you can use it as a study aid for the benchmark on January 26th, okay? Now, the rest of these slides, like I said at the beginning of the video, are for you to just simply type in the 10 amendments, Type in the number, type in the number, then type the name of the amendment. So this would be First Amendment. And then you can go to the chart and just copy and paste what it says there, or you can type it in your own words. Okay, it's better to type it in your own words because you'll remember it better. Okay, and you'll do that for 1 through 10. When you get to this slide 16, it tells you what to do. Copy and paste the first sentence of the last paragraph of the reading. That kind of sums up the main idea of the section. Okay. Slide 17, if you want to use that, if there's something else you'd like to add, something else you made a connection and you want to put it here, that's fine. If not, you can get rid of it. If you don't need this slide, you can get rid of it. The thanks slide, I think, is pretty cool for a Flipbook, so I would leave it in there. But if you want to get rid of it, that's cool too. And then all of these graphics at the end here. Okay. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow. All right. If not, send me questions in Schoology. Have a great one.